What's up, guys? Welcome back. So today I want to talk about 5 signs that your anxiety is starting to get worse, right? It's becoming a real problem. It's starting to spread. And I don't make this video to discourage you. I make this video, first of all, to let you know that you're not alone if you're dealing with any of these signs. Some of you have all 5 of these signs like I did. But to encourage you to take action. Let today be the day that you take action. Let today be the day that you sign up for therapy, right? Or you start taking action from the tips that you read online or the things that you get from my videos. So many of you have been at the stage where you feel less alone, and that's great. You're in your safe zone, you're in your bubble, but we got to start getting outside of that bubble. It's great that you finally realize that you're not alone through my videos, maybe some of the other YouTubers that you watch or whatnot, forums, Facebook groups. Now we have to start correcting the issue. Now we have to start rewiring. Now we have to embrace being uncomfortable, and we got to challenge ourselves, challenge our mind, challenge our anxiety, right? Challenge our deepest fears. And that takes some pain and some suffering. You have to be willing to do that to recover from anxiety, most definitely, but even to start managing this better. So if you're in this spot, if you have any of these 5 signs or all of them, know that there is hope, that you can reverse things with action. Stop waiting to feel motivated to do the things that you need to do to get better. I waited around to feel good enough in the morning or hoping that I would have a day where my anxiety would just disappear so I could take action. It doesn't work like that for 99.999% of us, all right? So let today be the day that you take action. So with that being said, go ahead and smash that like button down below if you're ready to kick anxiety in the butt today. Leave me a comment. Let me know which sign you have. I know many of you are going to have quite a few of these, if not all of them. So this video should resonate with you quite well. So the first sign that I want to mention is you're starting to have anxiety right whenever you wake up. I remember in the very beginning, it would usually take me kind of getting in my own head, to start catastrophizing, to start feeling a few things, to get triggered for my anxiety to kick in. And usually it would be mid-morning, early afternoon, or if I had to get in the car or go to work and start dealing with other stressors, right, and other triggers. But that time seemed to start getting cut back further and further and further after I was a few months in, and I wasn't really doing anything to help myself with my anxiety, so my anxiety was getting worse, obviously. So it really got to a point to where even before I opened my eyes and I knew I was conscious, right? I was conscious basically, and I could hear the birds chirping outside, my heart would take off, right? It's almost like it's a slap to the face. It's a shock to the system. So I would go right into panic mode right after I wake up. And I'm telling you, there's so many of you that aren't taking action or getting into a routine because you are in fear right from the get-go. So if you're dealing with that, know you are not alone, okay? I dealt with that too. It sucks all the motivation out of you, which is why I was saying earlier, we can't rely on motivation. We have to just get up and get into a routine regardless of how you feel, right? Like I had to do. I had to go into my routine regardless if I was having the heart racing or whatever. But what did I do? I kept waiting for there to be a time where when I opened my eyes, I wouldn't have that anxiety. I wouldn't have the racing heart or the panic attacks, right? And that just never came, right? So instead, I just waited and waited for years before I started to take action and realized I'm gonna have to do something. This isn't just going away. So instead of it taking some time for your anxiety to get started, and now you're starting to have it right whenever you freaking wake up, that shows that anxiety is starting to get a little bit more serious. And a quick little bonus tip for those of you that are trying to do this, right whenever you open your eyes, get out of bed within 5 seconds, right? Don't give yourself time to catastrophize. Don't give yourself time to body scan or symptom check or to think about how bad your day is gonna be. Get up, take action within 5 seconds, go right into a morning routine, all right? That's where you would head off to hydrate, to work out, to do your mindfulness, to take your cold shower, whatever schedule routine you got going on. Don't take longer than 5 seconds to get into that. You're gonna talk yourself out of it and you're gonna start catastrophizing, and then anxiety is just gonna get worse. A lot of this is a momentum game. We want to get things started on the right foot right in the morning. The next sign, guys, is that you're dealing with insomnia all the freaking time, right? I'll explain my little situation. In the beginning, it was just hard for me to kind of fall asleep. I would have that jolt up thing. I was having panic attacks in the evening, which is really common with really bad anxiety. But then it got to a point to where I wasn't getting any sleep for 1 to 2 nights at a time. It was very common for me to go a whole night and then kind of catch up after that the next 2 days to normalize it before I started over. But then it got to a point to where I was almost not getting 2 nights of sleep at a time. And then I would have this mega crash, which was horrible because it was hard for me to keep a job because I wasn't getting any sleep. I tried, right? And then I would have this crash, right? So I wasn't gonna go to work that day. So I would have this horrible cycle, 1 to 2 days of no sleep, mega crash, because our body has to eventually fall asleep. It's gonna happen regardless of how bad your anxiety is. You will finally fall asleep. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be great quality, but you will eventually fall asleep. But the insomnia issues, it was horrible. And when you're not getting good sleep, it fuels your anxiety even further. It's a whole cycle on its own. I will say, if you're dealing with this, guys, obviously you need to have a good morning routine. Our night is going to be dictated how our day basically went. So if you're not doing anything in the morning, you're not doing anything in the afternoon, especially if you're not working right now, guys, you have to fill that time up with some proactive stuff, right? That's why you need an awesome routine. I have a routine in my anxiety course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp. The link for that is actually in the description and in the first pinned comment. So if you haven't gotten that course, that's just one of the things that's included. There's tons of videos and stuff that help you out with this. But you need a routine. You need an evening routine. You need to do some things in the evening. You need to make sure that you're not exercising super late. You need to make sure that you are not eating super late. You need to have a chill down time. You need to make sure that your environment's less toxic, right? It's more conductive for sleep. Maybe do some mindfulness, some reading, some journaling, some things of that nature. Make sure that you're handling your anticipatory anxiety as well, because this is what happens with the insomnia thing. We start to hate nighttime, right? We associate nighttime with anxiety, with fear, with panic, whatever kind of stuff you're dealing with your anxiety. And then we don't want it to come, because it's like, oh no, it's gonna be bad. And basically what it does is it makes it a problem, right? And it becomes an association, a major trigger. It starts to get dark outside and you're like, oh, this is when my anxiety gets really, really bad. And that was how I was. So basically I'm thinking all day that I'm not gonna get sleep. Why would it be any different? You know what I mean? So you have to start changing the way that you view nighttime, right? So it doesn't seem as much of a problem to your subconscious. Your subconscious needs to look at you and see that from a conscious standpoint, you're not worried about it. And then eventually over time, this will break the association down. It's gonna take time though. It's not gonna be automatic the first night you do this. But I started to look at nighttime as an opportunity for me, right? An opportunity for me to practice my self-love, to do some more mindfulness, to overcome my fear. It's an opportunity for me to show my subconscious this isn't gonna bother me, that you can make me toss and turn, but I'm gonna get through this and things are gonna be fine. So start looking at nighttime as an opportunity for you, right? To grow, because you actually need these symptoms to pop up at night for you to actually challenge them, to conquer them, to show your subconscious that you're not afraid, so eventually the symptoms will shut off. But again, be patient with it. It takes time, all right? The next one, guys, is a huge sign. And I think most of us eventually go through this at some point if you have rough anxiety. But we start to develop more chronic symptoms, long-term symptoms, symptoms that are now on autopilot. I'm talking about the kind of symptoms that pop up when you're not consciously anxious, when you're not triggered, right? When you're not feeling anxious, and then out of nowhere, the panic attack hits, bam, or the chest pain or the headaches, whatever you're dealing with, they're kind of coming up out of nowhere and they're sticking around regardless of what you're doing, right? So this happens over time. It usually happens from the focus and fear that we put on the symptom. You focused and you fear it so much, it's becoming the primary message that your subconscious is using to try to get your attention. So now instead of it just every once in a while saying, hey, I'm scared because we're in the car, it's like, I'm always scared. So just think of it as that's the state of your subconscious. It goes from like needing to be scared, right, spooked, for it to then send you a panic attack, to it's just scared all the time. It's scared 24/7 because that's how bad the anxiety has gotten. So now it's gonna let you know all the time via these symptoms that are now more chronic that changes need to be made so I can quiet down, right? So A lot of this is gaining the trust of our subconscious. I will say this, if you're just focusing on symptoms and you're very symptom focused, it's hard to get out of this cycle. That was something I had to change. I had to show my subconscious that I was not worried about the symptoms, so I could convince my subconscious that the symptoms aren't needed. But if I was just complaining about them, which I'm not trying to be insensitive, this was tough love for me. If I was just complaining or just being fearful and just being negatively focused, they never went away, right? They never went away. They stayed there. I had to actually challenge my symptoms, show my subconscious that I wasn't scared. So the next one, guys, is very interesting, but you start to develop new triggers very, very quickly. It snowballs, it starts to spread. And a lot of you can probably think back to when your anxiety first started. You probably only had a couple things that really got you going, right? We have that initial trigger that causes that first panic attack or that first symptom that you notice or whatever. We had the anxiety had been building, and then you had the trigger, and then it kind of unleashed everything. But unfortunately, we're not usually doing what we need to do in the beginning to master our anxiety because we don't even know what the hell's going on. We're having trouble with acceptance as well. We don't even know if this is anxiety or heart problem or whatever, so we're not doing anything to get better. So it spreads. Fear spreads, the symptoms spread, the triggers also spread. So in the beginning for me, Google was a trigger, and then me feeling the chest pain was a major trigger. It would just put me into full-blown panic. But over time, I started to develop new triggers very, very quickly. Then it was anytime I saw the word heart, my heart would race. Anytime I saw a hospital, I'd think about death, right? And I'd think about my situation. Anytime I saw a billboard or heard an ad or heard a story about somebody having a heart problem or anything associated with heart, I would think about me dying from a heart attack. So it would start to get to that level. Then exercise became a major no-no for me. It was a huge trigger. Then it was driving, right? Then it spread to the workplace. Then I couldn't sit in a long line for very long, whether it be at a drive-through or at the bank or at the grocery store. Then being around a lot of people, even though I used to be a social butterfly, then being around a lot of people would cause me to have anxiety. Then I'm getting anxiety when I'm on the phone. You see where I'm going with this? Then it's heights. I used to love roller coasters, right? I wouldn't even, anytime being high up, right? Whenever I had anxiety, it would terrify me. So they would spread like wildfire whenever I wasn't doing anything proactive to get better with my anxiety. And unfortunately, I think that's how it starts with most of us. So if you're dealing with that, know that you're not alone. It's just an indicator that some action needs to be taken. You can, like some of these other things I've talked about, you can reverse it if you put in the work. A quick little tip, guys, if you find out that you have a new trigger, right? Maybe it was 1 or 2 times that you did this thing and you had anxiety. The worst thing that you can do is to start avoiding. That's the quickest way to cause you to develop new triggers, right? Then you're avoiding everything, and eventually you're not even coming out of your room. You're not even getting out of bed. That's how bad this thing can get, right? So something I started to do when I noticed that I was developing a new trigger, I did that thing again that day. And then I did it again the next day. So don't avoid these things after you notice that they're becoming a trigger, right? It'll just establish it with your subconscious. Then a new association has been made, and then it gets even harder, right? So stop avoiding some of these new triggers that you just noticed. And the last one, guys, you are seriously doubting recovery. Maybe in the beginning, when you first started to figure out that this was anxiety, you were hopeful, but you've tried again to do all types of different things, and you're starting to doubt recovery. I'm just gonna be honest with you right now. If you doubt recovery, then it's not gonna happen. You have to believe with everything that you have that you are going to recover from anxiety for you to be able to do that. If you aren't interested in recovery, but you want to manage it better, the same thing goes for that. You have to believe that you can manage it. You have to show your subconscious that you believe in it for the subconscious to get on board to work with you, all right? So if you doubt recovery, you're not alone. But I have some awesome resources down below in the description. Check that out. Start getting help. I put a link for online therapy down there so you can get a diagnosis and get a plan of action. I mentioned my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp, down there. It's going to help you with the mindset. It's got the routine. It has all the downloadables, tons of videos on there to take you step by step through what I did to personally recover from anxiety. I'm telling you, if I did it, I know you can. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I had anxiety really, really bad. But trust me, if I did it, I believe you can do it too. So check that out if you haven't. Join all my social media, guys. Anything else, subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell so you get updates when I put these videos out. And until next time, guys, keep fighting. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed this video.